Joining us now is Andrew Perez, reporter for the Daily Poster, friends of the show over
Morning,
there,
Andrew.
Daily Poster, covering basically what we're talking about right now. Andrew, thanks for joining us. Tell us where you are on your reporting on the filibuster and whether or not the Democratic Party, who has the power, but are running out the clock, so to speak, before they actually have to use that power. What are you reporting on?
Well, thanks for having me.
Pleasure.
I think, we're reporting kind of the same thing that everyone else is. That the Democrats right now, if they want to pass their agenda, they're going to have to eliminate the filibuster, but they still seem reluctant to. And it's been, the same story really for 12 years, for the whole of the Obama presidency, especially during the first 2 years of the Obama presidency when Democrats actually had the power to enact his agenda if they chose to. If they wanted to eliminate the filibuster, they had full control of Congress. They had 59 seats in the Senate and 60 for some of it, but they never considered eliminating the filibuster. And yeah, they allowed Mitch McConnell to stall, most everything for those 2 years, and it's not something that they got rewarded for at all politically. And we're kind of in the same situation now.
Yeah. That's the frustrating thing about this, is that we've been around this rodeo before. We've done this song and dance before. And so that's when I have to ask the question, like, are they dumb or are they complicit or are they both? You don't have to, but what are your thoughts about that? What game is being played on us by the Democratic Party?
Yeah, the game is that they could end the filibuster if they want. It's, basically stands to serve as just a general block on legislation unless you can find 60 votes. There's not really a good case for why there should be, a 60 vote requirement in a body where really 51 senators can do what they want. Like 51 senators can change the rules. 51 senators can vote for final passage of a bill. It's just that right now this exists as a general block on legislation. And, tomorrow Democrats are going to be taking up the For the People Act. They're going to vote on it. Their voting rights and democracy reform legislation. And it's not going to happen without eliminating the filibuster. So much of the Democratic agenda is that way. And, back in the Obama years, there were like a few kind of holdouts that never kind of supported the idea. The party sort of insulated them. They said that at the time that it would take 67 votes to eliminate the filibuster or reform the rules. But, as we've seen since, that just isn't true. Democrats have ushered through some pretty small filibuster changes back during Obama's presidency. And, then Mitch McConnell got rid of the filibuster for all judicial nominees. Like as soon as they tried to get Neil Gorsuch on the court, they removed it for the Supreme Court too. So it's something that they could change. They just have been reluctant to do so. And it seems like there is always, one or two senators who are kind of like standing out in front. Obviously, Joe Manchin, Kirsten Sinema. But, their reasoning for keeping the filibuster is obviously pretty bogus. They say that getting rid of it would, make it impossible to pass bills on a bipartisan basis. But I think we know that that's not really possible now.
So you said something very poignant to me. The fact that all these times that we've met, and that's the Democrats, have met the requirements to end the filibuster. It's something else, like a hoop that they have to go through. But we've seen other people utilize it to their benefit, where they remove it or, do something where it benefits them. But yet the conversation and the argument here is that it cannot be done. This is something that is too American, right? We utilize the filibuster because it's American, it's our right, we need it. And what would you say in this particular moment that, the people would have to do to help assist in that? Because I know here in Georgia, they're out in the street every day trying to get people to understand what it is and move forward with getting it removed. It might be a small task, but what would you say would be something that the people can do as helping to end the filibuster?
Yeah, it's definitely kind of difficult, I would say. just because, it's just an esoteric conversation that I think a lot of people are just like, what is anyone even talking about? It almost seems like just a complete lie, like the idea that like, oh, you actually can't pass legislation by majority vote in a body where you can pass legislation with the majority vote. I mean, I think, people obviously have to like call their lawmakers. I question how far that'll go, but I do think that could help in some cases with like Manchin. It seems like he's somewhat responsive to the amount of calls that are flooding into his office. I think Republicans have done a pretty good job of like gaming the numbers in his office. So, anyone listening in West Virginia should probably try to give a call to Joe Manchin. But yeah, other than that, I mean, obviously that's an exercise that probably seems kind of futile for some people. So
it's not. So my thing is that like I hear it, and I know because I say for the people to do, because there are people on the street out here who've been doing it for a minute, right? They're talking about this filibuster before people even knew about how it was affecting them, how it made the news, right? The filibuster became the biggest thing in the last few months, with people saying in the filibuster. So, but isn't it? I know it's a simple question. But is there a way that this is legal that when it applies, right, they can utilize it? But when we're fighting for it, they're saying that we can't, even though we're reaching everything that they tell us to. Is there a way that people can say that this is, fight and say this is not legal, or make their case in that way and help it move forward with ending the filibuster?
I think that maybe the best way to do it is probably to try to pressure lawmakers on like the actual issues people support, like on like the For the People Act, or like we've been talking about a minimum wage hike for like literally 12 years and it hasn't happened. Like I think the Democrats probably need more pressure on policy issues, just because I think that right now this is the kind of conversation that's going to force like a lot of people to tune out. If Democrats just refuse to use the time that they have right now to pass Joe Biden's agenda, I just don't think it's going to work out for them, or to pass any kind of agenda, whether it's, a moderate one or, a more progressive one that we might like. I think it's just, that's the reality is right now, they really can't do any of that.
And when you say Joe Biden's agenda, what particular agenda would that be under Joe Biden?
I mean, one of the main things that the Democrats are talking about right now is the PRO Act, like which would be a sweeping, labor reform bill. I mean, that's one thing that right now would really kind of help people's standing in the workplace. I mean, I do think that the voting rights legislation is really, really important, especially because so many Republican-led states right now have been just passing sweeping voter suppression laws over the past couple months. And the other thing, I cover dark money a lot, and this bill would help force companies to disclose their political donations, and that might help give people a sense of who's actually pulling the strings in Washington a little bit more, and I think it would be really important.
Gotcha. It's so much that the filibuster is stopping. It's not on. It's crazy because as we see and as we learn, we're going down the list, and it's not just voter, suppression. It's so much more that affects us as a people, and especially down to the marginalized folks like us Black folks. It's crazy because we've already had so many things in place to stop us from progressing or getting somewhere, whether it's our healthcare, whether it's our voter suppression, whether it's our how much we're getting paid in these states, and this filibuster just comes into play. And this is where we see people like Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema and everyone else on the side who just sit there on the sidelines and just say, I don't know what to do. I don't know. And partner with Republicans to push this bipartisan idea and, not to end this filibuster. And the bipartisan idea is only something that helps one side of it, which is division. It's still division. Like that bipartisan idea still gives us division, and it only helps one side of it. And that side is the Republican agenda. And that doesn't benefit us at all. Go ahead, Ben.
No, that's it. I'm just looking at the entirety of the conversation, Andrew, and you know, I think at the end of the day, you know, at the risk of sounding like a conspiracy theorist myself, um, they Democrats know exactly what they're doing.
Mm.
They know. They know they're running out the clock. That they basically, which tells me they've done as much as they want to do for us. Because if they wanted to do more, they know exactly how to get it done. Now, does that sound reasonable to you? Logical?
Yeah,
Or
I
am
would
I
totally.
missing something?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, this is something that's within their power that they can eliminate. And you know, I think people suspect that like Manchin and Sinema probably speak for some more of the Democratic caucus. But yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. Obviously, like every election is framed as like, you know, the most important election of our lifetimes. You know,
Everybody.
look at how people mobilized in Georgia just, you know, a few months ago
Yeah.
to help flip the Senate, right?
Yeah.
Democrats have the smallest majority they can, but they have right now full control of Congress, so they can pass whatever they want, really, if they eliminated the filibuster. I mean, it's the one time that they might have where they have the presidency and both houses of Congress where they can actually start putting their agenda into law. I mean, it definitely raises the obvious question of whether they want to put their agenda into law, and I think it's you know, a very fair question, to because it's they have the opportunity, they're choosing not to do it.
Andrew, thanks so much for coming on. Tell everyone at the Daily Poster we said hello, and keep you guys keep doing the work that you're doing over there.
Thanks,
All right,
Andrew.
thank you, thanks so much for having me.